Speaks on a lot of very large stages as well, so we're very honoured tonight to have Saj. So, can everybody please be upstanding for me and give a massive, warm, great property welcome to Saj Hussain.
Please, don't stop. Thank you. So,
just fix the whiteboard issue.
that's fine, thank you. So, raise your hand if you feel some more money will help you in your property journey. Okay? And raise your hand if you've got more than enough. I'm only kidding. So, raising money from other people is really what the focus is on this evening. And as Andrew said, it's probably been nearly 3 years since I was last here. In fact, raise your hand if you've heard me speak before. Anyway, a few people. Okay, that's why I kind of suspected that a little bit. So rather than me putting together a standard presentation for you to deliver to you, what I thought I'd do is make it more useful for you. Would that be good?
Yeah.
Good. For Caroline, for sure. So, you need to be a little bit more interactive if you want something good out of me this evening. I can promise you that. So, you'll need to give me a little bit more energy. Would it be okay if we use a format of answering your question for you this evening?
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. Now, that doesn't mean I wasn't bothered to prepare a presentation. I do have a presentation, but I thought it's going to be much more valuable for you if I can help you by answering your question about raising money. So, what we're going to do, we're going to get a flip chart set up, and we'll put questions down on whatever questions you've got, and we'll work through those this evening. And if we get 2 questions, then we should be done by about 8:30. We can all go home. So this is now dependent on you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. So before we start, I'll just give you a quick little bit of background about me for those who have not come across me before. So ultimately, this is about helping you raise money from other people, using other people's money for your property projects. As I said, it doesn't matter how much money you have, at some point you'll run out. Because when you get good at property, when you get good at finding property deals, you'll find property is a little bit addictive. Now, raise your hand if you've been in property a little while and you find it's a little bit addictive. Absolutely. What happens is you're good at spotting deals, and more good deals come along, and there's many asset-rich investors and cash poor. They're cash poor because their money always gets tied up in deals. So learning some of these skills, you'll find it's really useful. And even if you're not looking right now, or even if you're looking to invest money with somebody else, it's good to be thinking about what are the kind of things you should be looking out for if someone's raising money. Are they asking you the right kind of questions? Are they presenting the right things to you? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Excellent, good. So, people talk about it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. So sometimes, we hear speakers, we'll see at events, and I remember when I first started networking and going along to events, you'd hear somebody present some strategy to you and think, oh my God, that's mind-blowing, that's amazing, that's the thing that I need to be doing. But actually, sometimes we don't realise it's taken many, many years to become that overnight success. People sometimes think success is like this, it just happens overnight, people explode into success. And the reality is, actually, success is more of a journey, and success means different things to different people as well. And if you've done anything in your life that's produced great results for you, I'm sure you'll have found it didn't come easy. You had to put effort into it. And so what I'm teaching you today, and the kind of things I'll be sharing with you, is no magic bullet. There's no magic button that you press and this all works. It's really about sharing with you the knowledge and experience over about 13 years, really, in terms of things I've done that work quite well. Because there's many things I've done that haven't worked so well when it comes to raising money. So sharing with you the intricacies that work really well. So, a quick disclaimer, what I'm sharing with you is my knowledge and my experience. I'm not a solicitor, financial advisor, accountant, or any professional financial advisor of any sort of capacity. Really, I'm just sharing what's worked for me in terms of raising money, literally millions of pounds from other people. In fact, just probably over the last 6 months, in December I raised just over £1 million, about £1.1 million in cash, and then in January I did a crowdfunding raise, which was £400,000. I think it was 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes to raise that. Now, that's not just say it's that easy to do, but I want to give you some background of how you can do that and how you can make that happen. So, what drives me at the end of the day is ultimately my family. I feel absolutely blessed. I have this amazing life where I get to do some of the things like this, like come and help and share other people. And Andrew and I were speaking earlier on while we were just having a bite to eat. And really, by organising and running events like this, I run a network meeting as well. The more that I can help other people, and more people like Andrew can help other people without expecting anything back, you know what ultimately happens? It just attracts business to you. You just end up doing great deals, you end up meeting great people. And my family drive me, that's what keeps me going. In fact, my youngest son is with me in the room today. Let's give him a little round of applause, just to embarrass him. Thank you. And that's, you know, he's just finished college and he's starting to work with me, and I'm really excited by that because my daughter already works with me, oldest daughter, my other son works with me, my wife works with me, so you know, it really drives me that I can help and inspire them to want to learn more, do more, and be more as well. So, just a quick background. This is my 13th year in property, and really when I started, I'd been running an IT business for 15 years earlier, and I did really well out of that, and I made some really good money, and then I made some very stupid decisions, and ultimately fell flat on my face and wiped everything out. So, although I'd started off early in life doing very well and making quite a lot of money, I learned a huge amount on the way down, a lot more than I did on the way up. So for me it was about thinking about what can I do that's going to be long-term and sustainable, and property was what I was got curious about. Because if you've ever looked in the Sunday Times rich list, raise your hand if you've ever come across the Sunday Times rich list, a few people about my age. So in the rich list you'll find a lot of the wealth is kept in property, or they're created from property, especially generational wealth. And I wanted to do something that was going to be much bigger than me, that could survive me and be something that can be generational. And that's what got me thinking about property. But the reality was, for the first couple of years, I absolutely struggled to try and get any results. Because I just felt I was doing all the right things but not quite getting the right results. I remember meeting Mark many years ago and having a conversation with Mark, a great person to learn from in terms of support and knowledge. And Mark was one of the people that helped me get really focused and take the blinkers off, because what I would do, I'd go along to a property meeting, I'd learn about some strategy, I'd learn about HMOs, £1,000 cash flow. That's phenomenal, that'll sort me out, that's what I want to do, right? But then what happens is you go along to another event, you hear somebody else speak, and somebody else is talking about you can buy a house for £1. Raise your hand if you've heard you can buy a house for £1. I thought, forget £1,000 a month, I'm going to be buying houses for £1. Because I've got 10 quid, I could buy a few houses. And then what happens is you go to another event and people talk about, you can buy houses, no money down. But forget the pound, I am now buying houses, no money down, right? But what happens, you just get distracted by all these shiny pennies. You know, there's so many ways to make money from property. But here's the thing, you can't make money out of all of them. You have to pick the one that's right for you. The strategy is going to fit you. And I talk about this quite a lot, because just because somebody else is following a strategy, it doesn't mean that's going to be the right strategy for you. You've got to think about your personality, your contacts, your connections, into the way you're based in the country, where the property cycle is. All these things will have an impact in terms of what you're doing. So take from this what will be right for you and how you can apply it in your business. And so for a couple of years I really struggled. I just had this desire to succeed. 2 years I just really achieved nothing. I was banging my head up against a brick wall. And then when I got focused, what I started doing really was trading deals. And that's where my property journey started. I was finding deals, sourcing discounted property, B&B property, packaging them up and selling them on. £1,000, £2,000, occasionally £5,000 for a really good deal. And that's what got me started. And how I stumbled into joint ventures was I had a good deal where somebody was about to get repossessed, and I was trying to stop them from losing the house. So we purchased the property, and I said we purchase it, I'd package it up and sell it to somebody else. But the person I was selling this deal to, he had purchased from me previously, and he wasn't quite sure whether this is going to be the deal that I'm saying it's going to be. You know, when you're selling a deal, it always, you maybe dress it up a little bit about how great it is, and if you're buying a deal, it always feels like, you know, it's that amazing deal they're trying to present to you. And, you know, obviously I was trying to present it in the best light, but I was confident that the numbers are good, this is going to work, this is going to be a good deal. But he wasn't sure, he wasn't confident that this was going to work. And ultimately I was thinking, look, I've spent months on this deal, I've spent a huge amount of time. The person's going to lose their house, they're going to get repossessed. He's going to be homeless, he'll get blacklisted, he'll struggle to get another mortgage again in the future. My investor will lose out of what I believe is a good deal. And so all three of us are going to lose out if this deal doesn't happen. So what I said to him was, look, you take this property on, don't pay me a fee. I'll do what I said needs to be done to it, just need a little bit of tidying up, and I'll get it rented at the figure I said you would achieve from that property. That was his concern. Is it going to achieve the rent I'm saying? And that's what we did. And I said, look, what we'll do is we'll share the profit. We share the monthly profit on that, and that's effectively how I just stumbled into joint ventures and using other people. It wasn't intentional, it was something that just happened. And that started making me about £47 a month. Fantastic. And after a little while, I started to do more of these type of deals. I'm thinking, well, actually, occasionally you can do something like this. But, I'm going to need a lot of £47 before I'm okay. So, and I didn't want to be one of these people that I've got 400 houses, each making about £100. I thought, just I can't see that working for me. So I started flipping some properties where we buy them, renovate them, sell them. Raise your hand if you flip properties or you flipped them before, and I thought that was a great strategy, because what that would do is give me little chunks of cash, 10,000, 15,000, use other people's money to fund it, and then you get profit share. And even some more creative strategies, which you've probably heard about, like assisted sales, where we didn't even buy the property, just put the money in to renovate it and then control it and sell it. So these are the kind of creative strategies I started using. And then I'd met somebody, I heard somebody called, I'm sure many of you have met, raise hand, Jim Halliburton. Yeah, Jim's a great guy, very knowledgeable, but if you ever see him, he looks like the most miserable guy in the world. And you think, Jim, you're making all this money, why don't you smile occasionally, right? And I'd heard he was doing some very interesting things by sharing, having sharers in one house and making a lot more money. So I went and spent a few days with Jim to learn about HMOs. And I don't know if you ever get the opportunity to do that, but it scared the hell out of me. I thought, if this is what HMOs are, I definitely don't want to be doing HMOs, right? But then I also learned from a few other people, actually there's some other ways you can set up HMOs. There's the student market, there's professional lets, and then I started getting more curious about HMOs. Effectively, to cut a long story short, what I was able to do is start using other people's money to set up HMOs to produce a lot more cash flow. And that then enabled me to start building up the income and build up the business in that way. But what it did over the years, although I kind of flitted around doing lots of different things, ultimately gave me a huge amount of experience of doing lots of different strategies and finding what works where and a lot of what doesn't work as well. So what you'll find with me is I tend to cut out the hype and just give you the stuff that works. Yeah. So because sometimes you'll meet people, and I still do, and it frustrates me. And if you're ever following my stuff on social media, you'll see it frustrates me that when you get people teaching stuff that they're not actually doing themselves, or they did it 7 years ago and it worked. But the market moves; it evolves all the time. So you've got to be doing things today in today's market and apply those strategies. So, just quickly finishing off. So, literally, I raised millions of pounds over the time. Predominantly, I focus on HMOs. Also set up a HMO letting agency. When I got to about 60-ish rooms, I was managing them all myself. I was very obsessive and very controlling, because I'm using other people's money and I'm just obsessed about I need to be in control of what's going on. I can't afford these things to go wrong. But by the time I got to about 60 rooms managing myself, I just had a full-time job, unblocking toilets, moving tenants in, referencing, dealing with maintenance. That's all I was doing. And then it took a few months to realise, actually, if I carry on doing this, that's it. I've reached a ceiling, there's no more. I'm going to have to change, and that's when I started taking somebody else on first, reluctantly, sitting over and breathing down their neck and saying, right, you need to do it this way, and then starting to give them a little bit more freedom, and that business started to grow. And then other people start asking me to manage their HMOs in Birmingham, and that business continues to grow. I think we've got about 500-ish rooms around Birmingham right now that we manage. And I've trained, I worked with Simon Zucchi quite a long time, and trained literally thousands of people online and stage as well, and do some coaching and training and mentoring as well. But that's enough about me. Let's focus on other people's money. What's the challenge around raising money from other people? Not all at once. I might struggle to hear. We have trust there, Tom.
Rejection.
Rejection. What else?
Believe.
Say again, sorry?
Someone's got to believe in you.
Believing in yourself, absolutely. I think that's the key.
People have got to believe in you as well.
Oh, believing you as well, yes. And I think, raise hand heard of Tony Robbins. Most people in the room, he has this brilliant saying, it's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. There is literally trillions of pounds that move and exchange hands every single day. You might need 50 grand or 200 grand for a deal. That's a drop in the ocean about the amount of money that's out there. The difference is it's there and not in your pocket. And a lot of that comes from belief or our ability, thinking that we can raise money. So if I went back, say, 10 years and someone said to me, you'd be raising £1 million in a month of other people's money in cash, and I think, don't be silly, I'll be lucky if I can raise £1,000 of somebody else's money. Why would somebody give me that kind of money? It makes no sense. Because I didn't believe in myself. So some of the things I want to share with you today is how you can create the confidence of why you can become investable. Because if you don't feel investable, nobody's going to invest in you. You have to demonstrate that you are investable, that you are a credible person to work with. These are some of the things I want to share with you today. So why do we want to use other people's money? Some of the things we touched on this evening. This is the interactive part, by the way. You're free to shout out and respond.
Leverage.
Leverage. Absolutely perfect. It is all about leverage. It's about leveraging from somebody else. We can achieve so much more by leveraging other people rather than having to do myself. So when I was managing rooms, I got about 60 rooms and that was it. I was working literally 60 hours a week just looking after houses and managing other people's money in those projects. That was it. But it's only when I got somebody else in to get them to do some of the work that I could leverage further and keep growing and achieve more. Now initially I couldn't see the wood from the trees, so I'm thinking, hang on a minute. So I now have got to pay you 1,500 quid, £2,000 a month to make my life easier. Now I'm earning £2,000 a month less. So now I've got to work even more harder so I can pay you £2,000 a month. That was my understanding of leverage. It didn't make sense. But actually I wouldn't have been able to scale and build to what I've done if I wasn't thinking about leverage. And money's the same thing. It's about leveraging, how you can leverage something from somebody else to grow what you want. Remember, it isn't just about you. You're helping somebody else achieve what they want too. Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a moment. So there's many resources we can leverage. It's not just cash. Yeah. So for instance, time, other people's time, which is obviously an example of it. Somebody working with me, people's contacts. You're at a networking event. Andrew said it earlier on. Get up and do some great networking because pretty much everyone and everything you need is in this room. And that's one of the reasons I love networking. I love running networking meetings because everything you need is in one place. You don't have to look very far, right? And you've got a room full of like-minded people. So sometimes people talk about where's the best place to raise money? Where's the best place to get? Yeah. So people go, what about a business networking event? I said, yeah, that's a good idea. First, you've got to go in there and sell the concept of why invest in property. You come to a networking event, people already know and see the opportunities. You see, so you can accelerate that process. And then knowledge. There'll be so many people in this room, for instance, that are experienced at doing things that you may not necessarily have the experience of. And you can partner, you can collaborate with somebody else to again accelerate your journey. And skills as well, that could be, for example, architects, that could be builders, electricians. All these people are in the room. You can leverage other people's skills. So one of the earlier assisted sales that I did, which is where we had a property from an owner, a landlord, which was the property was a little bit tired. What they were asking for was quite a lot of money, and it didn't make sense to buy it, renovate it, and sell it. There's a little bit of profit, but not a huge amount. And what I did with that one is I partnered not only with the owner of the property, but I partnered with a builder to go and actually do the work and improve the property. And when we sell it, the owner can get paid what they wanted, the builder make a little bit of money on it as well, and then I made some money just by putting the whole thing together. You see, so it's just by understanding how you can leverage other people to help you build and achieve what you want. And experience, for example, you've got, sometimes people think, okay, I understand, I can find the money, but what about the deals? Yes, you can. You need to bring something to the table. Because here's the thing. If you're crap at finding deals, and you're crap at finding money, we're going to be struggling why somebody should be working with you, right? So you've got to bring something to the table. But here's the thing, we laugh at that. And I was speaking to a lady a couple of months ago now, as she came along to a networking event. And she said, look, I'd love to get into property, but I just feel like, it's going to take time to learn. And, I haven't got the experience. And we were chatting for about 10 minutes. And then I said to her, what is it that you do? She goes, I'm a commercial property lawyer. Right, and you've got no property knowledge, right? Because what happens is so close to what we do, we don't appreciate what we actually know. So, you might be a project manager, for instance. There are transferable skills in property. You might be somebody that, is a counsellor. You think, well, how relevant is that to property? You've got the perfect soft skills to be able to negotiate and speak to people. See, everything you're doing, you'll have skills that are transferable, that you can use in property. Start thinking about how you can apply those and use those. And of course, money is the one we're focusing on here in terms of what we want to leverage. Is this making sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent, good. So, what do I mean by leveraging your money then? So, let's say I've got £10,000 and I borrow £90,000 from you. If you want to do this later, by the way, we'll be forming a queue later on. So, and I buy a property for £100,000, and then I resell the property for £150,000. I pay back your £90,000 plus £10,000 interest, profit, whatever you want to call it, and what I'm left with is £50,000. So what that means is I've earned £40,000 off my initial £10,000. That's the power of leverage. So it's thinking about it in that way. Now, have I helped somebody else make £10,000 in this example?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the correct answer. So, absolutely, so this wasn't just about me, it's about how you can help somebody else. Now, these numbers are very simplistic, but it's just trying to demonstrate the concept of what I'm saying here. So, let's focus on how you can be a money magnet. Raise your hand if you'd like to be a money magnet. I'm not going to go all American on you, that's fine, don't worry. Nothing wrong with that, I'm just saying. Speak to America. So, and we touched on this earlier, this is where I think most people struggle. And if you're thinking, you know, what little voice are you talking about? That's the exact little voice I'm talking about, the one that's saying that. So, you know, you have to have some kind of confidence that you can do this, that you can raise the money. The reality is we all can. But it's about why would somebody want to invest their money with you. You need to be investable. So it's how you see yourself is really important. Now, some of us look in the mirror and really beat ourselves up, right? About how we see things. But ultimately, it's down to you to look at how you're seeing things. This is how you need to be thinking about things, yeah? It's about the best version of you, right? Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So in a moment we're going to do questions. And I want you to kind of tell me what is it that you want help with, and what is it that would help you right now in terms of raising money from other people. And also, what is it that you're unsure about, or what challenges are you facing right now when you're looking at raising money from other people. And if you're not looking to raise money immediately, think about if you were at some point. Or if you're looking to invest money in people, think about what is it that you may be interested in while you're sitting on the other side of the fence. Because remember, it's two sides. There's somebody that's investing and somebody receiving the investment as well. So, would you like a gift?
Yes.
Oh, you spoke then. Okay, so here's a little gift for you. So I've done a video, it's about 40 minutes long, about networking and how you can use the power of networking to grow your business. As a free bribe for you, if you want to text your name and email address to this number, that will go to my PA Shira. And what she'll do is tomorrow, she'll send you out the video. Now here's the thing. That means you're going to start getting emails from me. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Raise your hand if you already get emails from me. Do you get good stuff from me?
Yes.
Excellent. That's the right answer. I'll pay you later. So I don't bombard you with rubbish. I try and provide good value. And if you're not happy about any of the stuff I'm saying, you can just easily unsubscribe. But if you're interested in getting that video, just ping your name and email address. Tom, taking a photo is not going to work. You've got to send an email. And don't say you'll do it later, because we won't. So I'll just give you a moment to do that, and then we shall jump on to questions. We've got some pens here. That's fine. Okay. So just whilst you're doing that, tell me, what question have you got, or questions about raising money from other people? Sir, here. What's your name, sir?
Peter.
Peter.
I'm a property investor. Started 10 years ago.
Okay.
From single-let to HMOs.
Okay.
On the holidays in Whitby, I shared what I do with a friend. 2 months ago, he rang me and he said, "Okay, I want to invest." So he invested 50k on my advice in Coventry. We bought the property. We have rented just out at £1,800
Okay.
as a HMO.
Very good.
So that's my first deal. I didn't put any money. It's on a 50-50. So
Okay.
very successful on that. The problem I'm having is I've got a piece of land now, which is worth £110,000. The development cost is 130, and I don't know where to get that sort of money to do that project.
Right. So if I was to summarise, you want to raise £130,000,
For development,
and
110 for the plot.
you own the plot.
No,
Okay. And what's on the plot at the moment?
it's got a planning permission for 5 bed.
planning permission for a 5-bed house.
Yeah, and it's off the market sale.
Okay. So,
It's a private sale.
okay.
On completion, the property is worth 350.
350. Okay.
It's got about 60% on that.
Okay. That's fine. We'll come back to that in just a moment. What else?
The chicken or the egg?
Say again.
The chicken or the egg?
Chicken or the egg? Very important question. What else? Some people wonder if they turned up to the right meeting.
How do you want to structure that? Is it the share of the profit, or do you want the money just to do it yourself?
Either way. Either way.
What are you looking for? A
type,
joint venture
structure.
or
Perfect. JV or loan? Yeah.
Either way.
What else?
Something that's come up on social media is, where do you find investors?
Where do you find the money?
Yeah.
I have to apologise about my handwriting in advance. I'm such a disappointment to my mother. Right. What else?
doctor?
Yes. She did want me to be a doctor, but I wasn't going to do the doctor joke, just in case some doctors in the room.
You've got a handwriting.
They're not here tonight.
Say again, sorry?
How do you create trust if you just begin?
Trust. Building trust. Trust when new. What else? Yes.
Security.
Security. Very good question.
Angry.
Exit.
Exit. Okay, we'll probably tie that one in. But let's start with these. See how we get on. Get through them quickly. We'll do more. So let's do this first Peter's one then. So Peter has an opportunity to buy a piece of land for £110,000. It's got planning
For 5 bed.
for a 5-bedroom house.
Detached house.
It will cost £130,000 to build it.
Yeah.
How many square foot is it? Any idea? Or okay, so that's something you want to find out. Because you want to find out the build cost per square foot on that to see if that translates, and you also want to see what the square foot selling price is in the area as well. Is anybody, any developers in the room building houses? Yeah. So make sure you connect as well with David. So you're going to sell this for £350,000.
Well, the idea is to refinance, keep the property, and take the money out and pay off the investors or whatever.
Right, okay, so let's does that all make sense to everybody? Let's time for calculator. You can tell I've done terribly well at school. So 350,000, take 130 and 110, so you've got 110,000, is that right? Okay, nice margin? Yeah, nice healthy margin. So Nick, if we want to remortgage,
I've spoken to him.
put you on the spot now. How much equity do we need on a £350,000 house for a buy-to-let? Is it going to be a buy-to-let or?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
twen-
How much equity would we need on a £350,000 house for a buy-to-let? Yeah. So about 90 grand
Yeah.
equity you need. But you're building in about 110 grand equity. Yeah. So you've potentially got room there for a nice remortgage, assuming the rental stacks. What's the current multiplier now? 1.45 or?
Depends if it's limited company or personal name. If it's limited company, it's 125%.
Okay.
Pay rate of 5 years or 5.5%. Or if it's personal name, it's 145.
Okay. Does everybody understand that, or was that double Dutch?
Yeah.
Does anybody want to explain that?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we rent the property out, we'll get a certain amount of rent. Let's assume the rent's £500, right? So if we're getting £500 of rent, we have to be creating at least 25% above what the mortgage amount is for the lender to be happy. So 25% more than 500 is. You lot are rubbish at maths.
125.
Yeah, so 625, we'll ask the accountant in the room, 625 is what we need as rent coming in before we can have a mortgage that will say pay at £500. If our rent is £500 and the mortgage is £500 a month, you got no chance. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So that's 25% extra we're talking about. In some cases, it might be 45% extra. Essentially, what Nick's saying, depending on it's a limited company or personal name. So we have to do those sums. If you want to keep it, you've got to make sure this exit's only going to work if you've got sufficient profit there. On the face of it, you've got more than 25% profit there, so that works. Yeah? So, quick bit of analysis, say you have an interesting deal, let's say, without doing any more digging than that right now. So why would somebody invest with you? What's in it for them?
It can be profit sharing, or it could be a loan.
Right. So what would they get?
Well, returns, I'm open to offers, like we can share a 50-50 or whatever.
Yes, so the thing that many people tend to default to is we'll do a 50% profit share. So what does that mean? Well, I think it's important to elaborate when you're speaking to somebody what you mean by that, rather than having the assumption that they understand. Quite often what we're talking about is 50% of the rental profit you'll share, plus 50% of maybe the equity in the property as well. It doesn't have to be that way. But that may be the default position. So here's the thing, what many people tend to do when they're doing a deal like this is that you work out what you want to give somebody and you say, here's what I'm offering. Right? You're broadcasting that message out. The way it will make a real difference is if you're sharing that you have an opportunity to help somebody make some money, for instance. So what do you need? You've got 130,000 plus you need 110,000. How much cash do you think you'll need to do this deal?
240.
Say again?
240.
240. So Nick, could we bridge the 130,000 purchase price and get 110,000, 100% development finance, probably if it's got planning?
For the land, you'll get 60%.
60%.
And then you'll get 100% of build cost.
Okay, so essentially what Nick's saying is, if you did use a commercial lender or external lender as well, you don't even need that much cash.
No.
So, time for my calculator again. So we've got 30 times 40, so 52 grand cash plus stamp duty and costs, etc. So you could potentially do this with 50 grand. Yes, you've got interest and things to pay to your lender, but that might be the way to do it. An alternative, of course, could be you borrow all the money or you get all the money from somebody else. But what we have to think about is what's in it for somebody else. So the way I would do this, I would, for example, just share that I have an opportunity where we can build a house and we'll make whatever profit from that. And I'm looking for somebody who might be interested in exploring how we can work together on that. So rather than saying this is what it will be, just like what you've said, you're quite open to exploring different things. You have some experience as well, so you have some credibility there in terms of doing that. But then it's about having an individual conversation about somebody wants. So I'm speaking to James here, and James has got 100 and whatever it is. We'll talk about that later, James. And James is interested in investing with me. I'm saying, James, I've got this deal, you need to do it. It's fantastic. You know, we'll do a profit share on it. We're going to do this time next year, Rodney, we're going to be millionaires. It's not quite. It doesn't quite sort of sell it. What you have to do is allow people to be drawn into why they might want to work with you, and you have to be reasonable. Like I was talking about earlier about being investable. Yeah. So, for example, you mentioned earlier you've done a deal before. Have you built houses before?
No, I've done extensions and renovations.
Okay, excellent. So, very much like myself, where I've done lots of extensions, renovation, I've started building houses now, but I haven't actually gone off and done my own. I've partnered with somebody to build houses, so the housing development I'm doing right now. So, what I'm doing is I'm de-risking it for somebody that might want to invest with me. And effectively, you know, we're going to talk about security in a moment, but you have to mitigate risk for people. If people invest money with you, it's because they want to produce a return. The first thing they want is their money back. It's not about the gazillion % you might make for them if you're not going to have any money left at the end of it. It was going to be a gazillion %, but it didn't quite work out. It landed on the wrong number at the casino. So, you know, it's about making sure you can de-risk things for people. So in this situation, I'd focus on, tell me, James, what is it that you're looking for? Yeah? So in a networking meeting like this, you should be meeting lots of people, connecting with them. But I would suggest you don't turn this into a 20-minute consultation. What you do is connect with people, you understand a little bit about who they are, what they're doing, and then follow up. Right? So raise your hand if you collect cards from networking events. Keep your hand up if you keep them sitting somewhere in their pile of gathering dust. I put my hand up as well. I've made, I'm guilty of that too. We do, we collect cards and say, yeah, we'll speak, we'll follow up. What does that mean?
Never.
It doesn't happen. Okay, let me ask a slightly different question. If you met somebody at a networking event, they took your card from you, raise your hand if they followed up with you the next day. Right, look around, like 5 people in the room. Yeah? Because it doesn't happen. So it's important you do follow up. So it might be just, James, it's really good for us to speak. So, with your phone up, when would be a good time for us to speak? Should we do tomorrow or Thursday? Morning or evening? Great, let's pop that in, exchange numbers, enjoy the rest of the evening, network with other people, let's speak. Yeah? So then when you follow up, then it's a case of, look, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you expressing interest as well. So tell me a little bit about what you do. Yeah? Because who's heard of WIIFM? Yeah? A couple of people. Right, let me just explain what that is for those who haven't come across that before. This is the radio station your investors are tuned into. What's in it for me?
A free ticket to the next meet.
People are interested in themselves. I'm sorry to disappoint you. They don't care about you. They're interested in themselves. What's in it for me is what people are focused on. So you have to adjust your channel, your settings, so you focus on the other person. So when we're following up, James, thank you so much for your time. Tell me, what is it you do? Tell me a little bit about your business. What is it that made you come to the meeting? What were you looking to do? How did you find that useful? Yeah? So in a conversational method, what I do is I call it fact find. Any other mortgage brokers in the room? Any finance people? Yeah? So what's a fact find, Nick?
It's get to know your customer.
Exactly. You take the time to get to know who you might be working with. This is exactly what you're doing. You're fact finding, but in a non-structured way, in a conversational way. You're taking time to learn about them. What has it got you interested in property? Have you done any investing before? What kind of investing have you done? Have you done any property investing before? How's that worked out for you? What is it you're looking to do right now property-wise? How much funds have you got allocated towards this? What kind of return are you looking to try and achieve? What's your appetite for risk? Now, if you do it like that, they'll probably... right? But these are the kind of things you want to know during a conversation, right? Now, here's the thing. Not everybody's the same. So, what I mean by that is it's important that you understand that when you're communicating with people, you need to communicate in different ways. So here's what I mean by that. So I might have a deal, and I send it across to Tom. I'm talking to Tom. Tom says, ping across the details to me, and I say, Tom, here's my spreadsheet. Right? Purchase price, 100. Costs, 20. Sale price, 150. Profit, 30. Tom, here's my spreadsheet. Send me the money. Now, some people, that might be okay. Other people, they need a spreadsheet that spreads across 2 screens. Right? Why? Because not everybody's the same. But it's your job to understand what somebody needs and how they work. So when you're communicating with somebody that way, you take the time to understand, are they a big picture person? Are they somebody very detailed in the way they speak? Yeah? And think about the language that they're using. So for example, if they're using words like, how does that feel? How does that look? Can you see us doing this? Yeah? Does that sound like that could work for you? Sound like? How does that look? How does that feel? They're different personalities. Listen out for the words that they're using. Yeah? And that will help you connect better. So what we're ultimately doing is we're trying to work out what the other person needs, what they want, what they might be looking for. They might not be the right person for us to invest with us in this project. We want people looking to raise these funds for, right? Now, if you're having conversations with people and someone's potentially got the right level of funds, you might move that conversation around. So tell me, what would an ideal investment look like to you? Yeah? And you can start then moving towards understanding if it is the right deal. Here's the clever bit. What you don't do is pitch to them. What you do is understand their needs, and then your job is to tailor the offering to fit like a glove. then there's no sale in that process. It doesn't feel like an uncomfortable sale. There's no uncomfortable sales pitch. So what do you think then? Should we do the deal? There's none of that nonsense, because if it's right, the person will then allow you naturally to move towards that conversation. And here's how you can do that. So, James, just before we finish the call, just so I understand, what you're saying to me, if there's an opportunity to invest your £100,000, as long as it generates at least £10,000 over the year for you, and as long as it's secured in a way where the money's definitely secured, and you can generate that return within a year, that's something you'd be happy to explore further. Is that right? Now, I've done two things by doing that. The first thing I've done is I've just communicated back just to make sure I've understood what's being said, so there's no misunderstanding. Is it possible there can be misunderstanding?
Yes.
Absolutely. So what that does, that removes the possibility, not completely, but the general possibility about there being some misunderstanding. The second thing it does is I've tested the sale. What I mean by that is they're saying yes. If that is what you're able to do, then we could potentially do business. So there was a sales message in that without it feeling dirty. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Who likes selling? A couple of people. Most people don't. Most people hate it. I love selling. Most people hate it because it's an art, and it's the reason most people dislike selling is because they've been sold to by very bad salespeople. That's why we don't like it. But what is selling? Selling is moving your passion to somebody else in a very clean way. My son's in the room, so in a very clean way, right? You're getting them infused with your energy. That's all what you're doing. You know, if you meet an amazing car salesperson and they're talking to you about how this car is going to change your life, that's very different from how most of us have experienced buying a car. See, because it's the energy, the passion they put behind that. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to do this in a way which doesn't feel horrible. If it's a right fit, and this is the thing, if it's a good fit, it will happen. And if it's not, it worked really well. Because it's very easy for people then to say, okay, that's great. Well, look, you know, if I find something that I think that might be suitable for you, then I'll certainly come back to you. And by the way, have you spoken to such and such? Also have a chat with them. That might be a good contact for you. Try and help them with what they want. Generally try and help. And if they haven't got something they can help you with, don't think, okay, thanks, bye, next on the list. Generally try and be helpful. Because, you know, as Andrew was saying earlier as well, you know, in this kind of environment, when you give and help, you'll be amazed at how much of it comes back to you. Right? If you generally try and be helpful. Now, does that give you a little bit of help in terms of how you can raise your potential cash?
Is there any platform where joint ventures guys exist somewhere, or is it more like
Platform?
Yeah.
Absolutely. What platforms do we know?
The great property.
Anybody on social media?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you are not on any social media platform. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever else is there. Raise your hand if you're not on any of these platforms. Any one. Look around. Every single person in this room is on some social media platform. What is that? That's a big form of networking. You see, you can get your message out there. Andrew does regular videos. I do regular videos. Raise your hand if you regularly put content out on social media. Yeah, a few people in the room. Now, do you find it brings you business? If you do it properly, absolutely does. Because it's an extension of what's happening here. You're just sharing your message. So Peter, for you, it should be a case of sharing your content, sharing your knowledge. You know, you should be out of, even now, when you go back, you should be posting and sharing what you're doing online. You could be standing outside a potential property you're looking at, you pull your phone out. Has everybody got a phone? Yeah. Has anybody not got a phone? Has anybody not got an arm? Everybody's got a phone, right? You pull your phone out, you stand outside the house, you point it to yourself. In fact, raise your hand if you're a little bit shy about having a camera pointed at you. Get over it. The internet is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, I promise you. It's here to stay. Look, you know, if you're my age, few people are in this room, most aren't. If you remember in the 80s, many won't, if you remember in the 80s, if you were on primetime TV, ITV, 7 o'clock, what would it cost you to get 30-second slot?
100,000 at least.
Hundreds of thousands. I've no idea, but a lot of money, right? A huge amount of money. Why?
This was the only limited amount of channels available.
Because that was where most of the eyeballs were, right? These days, some 12-year-old kid will show you how to do something on YouTube and have like 2 million followers.
Not only that, how to play with the toys and all that.
Yeah, how to play with toys. I was
And
shocked when my daughter was telling me,
just on
"Oh,
that.
Daddy, there's this guy on YouTube,
Yeah,
this person on
my
YouTube."
daughter is watching it.
that they get paid to show them how to play with toys, right? It sounds crazy. Let's not go there. So, but point I'm making, social media is so powerful and it's free. What's it cost to post a video on YouTube?
Free.
Nothing. It's absolutely free, and if you haven't got internet at home, come to a hotel. Everyone's got internet at home. So you point the camera to yourself and say, hey look, just at this property today, we just had a look around. It's a 3-bedroom house. We're going to be looking to convert it to a 5-bedroom HMO. It will hopefully, once it's up and running, be generating about £800 a month. Really excited because it's going to produce a great return for me and also my investor as well. If you have a great day, whatever you do, and I'll see you on the next video. What did I ask for?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. But what am I doing? Sharing what you're up to, right? If you do that kind of thing regularly, you start getting people's interest. Yeah? And here's what happens. We don't tell anybody what we do. Yeah? When we're back at work tomorrow, you should be saying to people, this is what you were doing yesterday. Mark, where were you yesterday? What were you doing? Watching EastEnders? No. Right. So what happens is don't watch TV. Very smart. So here's the thing. We don't talk about what we do. We should say, look, what were you doing yesterday? And what happens out of reciprocity? People say, oh, I was doing this. Well, what were you doing? And you say, I was at a property networking event where we were talking to lots of people around property and property investing. Now, if they look at you and say, do you want 2 sugars in that tea? They're clearly not interested in property. Take the hint. Don't start going into your pitch about how amazing property is. They've just said to you they're not interested. Take the hint. Now, on the other hand, what most people will probably do is say, oh, how does that work then? Isn't property risky? Isn't the property market going down? Oh, I watch Property Ladder. I'll be watching Homes Under the Hammer. What will happen is a conversation, what I call you'll get an expression of interest. See, that's your clue to start a conversation. So you share with people what you're doing, but you don't start pitching. You just talk about what you're doing. That's exactly what you should be doing on social media. You talk about what you're doing, your journey, your experience, your knowledge. If you've got lots of knowledge, lots of experience, you should be sharing that, because that's what's going to make your money magnet. That's what's going to bring people to you. On the other hand, if you're somebody that has very little experience, you're starting out, you're brand new, you think, I've got no experience. Why is somebody going to listen to what I'm saying? You can still share your journey. You don't have to claim to be an expert. But what will happen, you'll find people that will resonate with you. Even people that know you very well, friends and family, won't know you've got an interest in property, but by sharing that, you'll find that interest. Does that make sense? Yeah? So it's about sharing your message there. So, we're going to spend all evening on one question, so I think we should move on to the next one. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. So, chicken or egg? So, raise your hand if you think it should be the chicken. Raise your hand if you think it should be the egg. Raise your hand if you haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. Okay, so, elaborate. What do you mean?
The deal or the money?
Absolutely. Do you go looking for the deal first, or do you go looking for the money first? Right, so if you're looking to raise money, do you first need to have a deal that you can bring investment into, or do you first need to go and find the money so that you can go off and find the deal?
People often say that you need to be a deal to attract the money, isn't it?
Right.
But when you've got a deal and you haven't got experience, you're stressed and very desperate to find the money.
Yes.
So when I close the deals, I use the deals that I've sourced to raise the money.
Okay. So who thinks you should be raising the money first?
Put the plan to sequence, basically.
Who thinks you should find a deal first? And who doesn't know? The correct answer is we should be both at the same time. Yeah? Because here's the thing. We should be looking for opportunities all the time when we're speaking to people. And the best time to find money, I was speaking to Andrew about this earlier on, just having a bite to eat. The best time to find money is when you don't need it. The worst time to find money is when you've just found that deal and you're standing at that networking event when Andrew says to you, right, come and stand and share what you're looking for. I desperately need some money, I've got this amazing deal, please come and invest with me, I've only got till tomorrow 12 o'clock to get the deal done. True? That is not going to work. That is not going to work. Because it just stinks of desperation, stinks of disorganisation. Do you see, it just comes across that you don't know what you're doing. And who would be confident investing in somebody like that? Nobody. There will be some people, but very few. Because here's the thing. When you look to raise money for property, there'll be people that will invest with you for transactional reasons, and there'll be people that will invest in you because they like you. What's the difference? When you borrow money from the bank, You might want to put your fingers in your ears for this one, Nick. Do they care very much about you, your family, who you are, your values? No. They don't give two monkeys. Are they concerned about getting their money back and that you're going to be able to pay?
Yeah.
That's all they're concerned with, right?
Yeah.
They want to know you're a good bet to lend the money to so they can get the money back. They're not interested in having your house back. They're in the business of making money from money. They don't want to collect houses. They don't want to have to repossess it. So that's why they de-risk it. They make sure you're a safe bet. When you're raising money from private individuals, your focus should be on getting to know, like and trust people. Because people do business with people like themselves. What you have to do is give people the opportunity to get to know you, like you and trust you. And we touched on it earlier on. The power of social media means that you could be visible before you even meet somebody. So the number of calls I've had from people who've got in touch, we've had a phone call about them investing with me, and within a day, 2 days, their cash is in the bank and we've never even met. And sometimes I pinch myself and think, was that real? Well, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody lend money to somebody they've never even met, just on a phone call?
The recommendation.
Possibly. It's because they've already had the opportunity to know, like and trust via social media. Do you see? By being visible, what happens is you create these opportunities. If you're absolutely amazing at doing what you do, but nobody knows, you're the world's best kept secret. What good is that? If you want to attract money, you have to share what you're doing. Now, this isn't about being some kind of, crazy person online or whatever. You be yourself. You share who you are, what's important for you, your values, what you're doing, why you're doing this. And for many people, sometimes we struggle by motivation in terms of, why we want to do something. There'll be some people in here that are absolutely driven and focused and know what they want. And they're very clear. They don't need help with motivation. They know what they want. They're getting it. Regardless of what comes in their way, they're getting their goal because they're driven that way. Sometimes other people are comfortable in life. They're comfortable with where they are. And they're thinking, honey, if we get another house this year, that would be nice. Maybe we can do another one holiday along with the other 4. Because they're quite comfortable, the chances of them taking bigger jumps and making that thing happen are much slimmer. Because they're too comfortable. See, so you have to think about what drives people. Why are things important to you? And many of us will do things for people we love much more than we do for ourselves. So if you're struggling with motivation, think about what difference it will make for you. So as I said earlier when we started, what drives me is my family. That drives me to want to do more for them. My parents came to this country in the 60s, pretty much with no money, and they worked very, very hard so I could have a comfortable life. In fact, my grandfather slept on the streets of Bombay when they were working just as trained janitors and stuff, just to get by. So my parents could have an easier life. And my parents work hard so I could have an easier life. What do we want to do? We want to make sure our kids have an easier life. Do you see? So, think about what drives you or what's important to you and share this message, because what will happen, you'll create a connection. And if you repel 90% of people, that's absolutely perfect, because they were never right for you in the first place. The mistake we make is we think everybody's the right person for us to work with. That's the biggest mistake you can make. So I was talking about people investing in you because they know, like and trust you, or whether it's transactional. Sometimes you'll have a great deal and you'll say, I've got this deal, and you can make 20% on your money, you can make a great return, and people think, I'm interested in that. In fact, let me just demonstrate something. A couple of people in the room might have seen me do this before, so please don't participate and let the other people get learning. So I've got a £20 note here, which is I think it's dry. So, if I said to you right now, I'm willing to sell you this £20 note right now for £25. The first person to give me £25 can have this note. You don't look very excited. I'll tell you what, you guys are hard working, Robbie. The first person to give me £20 can have this 20 quid.
I'll get it, I'll do it then.
£20?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
£20? I'll tell you, while she's trying to get her £20, the first person to give me 10 quid for this can have it. First person to give me 10 quid for this can have it. First person to give me 10 quid for this can have it. The first, okay, give this lady a round of applause. Too late. Now,
You dropped your 10
you dropped another 10 on the way. So, did you know you were going to double your money this evening?
No.
What stopped you from doubling your money this evening?
Action.
Right. Hesitation.
Too good to be true.
Too good to be true. What else?
No car.
Say again?
I only had a bank card on me.
You didn't have a bank card on you. Yeah. But you didn't ask if there was any other option.
to take cards.
Yeah, okay. I didn't hear you at the back. What else? We're too polite sometimes, like other people. What else?
Motivation.
Motivation? You know, you don't get out of bed for more than 10 quid. Fair enough. What else? Being prepared. Okay? So are these all the same things that come up when we look at potential deals? It's the same mindset. When it comes to raising money, it's the same mindset. Now, what we did was transactional. You had an opportunity to make money. Really, it wasn't about me, it wasn't about the deal. The clear opportunity was you could make money. Here's the thing, you have to think very quickly. You didn't know if you were going to rush to the front and I was going to embarrass you. That could have happened, right? You didn't know if that was even a real note. It was, by the way. So, but here's the thing, you know, sometimes these things come up, but the point I'm trying to make is people sometimes will invest for transactional reasons because it's a deal, it suits them. They don't care about the person. In my experience, that's the worst type of joint venture partnership, raising other people's money you could possibly do. Because they don't care about you, they care purely about the return. If you want to do that, use bridging. They don't care about you, they just want the return on the money, right? If you're building relationships, what happens is so much easier to find that you'll connect with certain people that want to work with you. But what happens when they work with you, they get a great return on their money? They're very likely to want to go again. Yeah? And there's so many different ways you can set this up. For instance, you know, if you're learning, or if you're new, or you're a little bit further than your potential investor, sometimes people want to invest with you just so they can get some learning. They can shadow you, they can look over your shoulders. Do you see? So by doing that, it means they've got some confidence and experience to go and do this for themselves. But we'd only know that if we take the time to talk to them and understand what they want. But when you see this difference between transactional relationship-based investing, you'll attract the right people to you and it'll be so much easier. I promise you, when you do this, it'll be so much easier. In fact, if it doesn't work for you, tell me. I'll make it work for you. I'll show you why it isn't working for you. Yeah? You share your message. So earlier, Andrew and May stood up, they shared what they were doing, right? And if they're doing this, they're sharing how they're doing this, and I'm not sure if they were looking to raise money or not, but if they were doing that, do you think even without asking your funds, do you think some people might be interested in what they're doing?
Yeah.
Do you think some people might think, they're a nice couple, they're investable, I might want to talk to them? Without asking for anything, right? What you're doing, you're sharing your message. So Andrew, you're going to have a queue next month of people want to share their message at the front. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
So, in short, you have to be doing both of these at the same time. Now, you might be thinking, I'm not somebody that goes out and finds deals. I'm not very good at it. I'm still learning that. But raise your hand in this room if you're finding deals, if you're sourcing deals. Where are all the deal sources? Raise your hand nice and high if you're looking for deals. If you're looking for deals, talk to these people. Yeah? Because if you haven't necessarily got the skills or you haven't been out there looking for deals, you can have other people bring deals for you. Here's the thing you have to do. You have to get good at analysing them and assessing that they're a good opportunity. Just because somebody says it's a good opportunity doesn't mean it is. Your job is to do the due diligence and make sure it is a good deal, because you're going to park somebody else's cash in there. Yeah? And you want to sleep easy at night knowing you've done the right thing. Because here's the thing, you can work very hard and do lots of deals, and a few people will hear about it. You do one bad deal, somebody loses money with you, everybody will hear about it. You are finished. This is a small community. You know, I mean, there's meetings like this, probably 50, 60, 70 meetings like this around the country. Maybe let's say you got 100, you get nowhere near 100 at some. Let's say you get 100 at some of those meetings. How small is that compared to the population? It's a tiny community. Everybody will hear about it. You live by your reputation. Make sense?
Yeah.
Excellent. Joint venture or loan? What's the difference between the two? I'm sorry if I offended you, sir. So, joint venture or loan? What's the difference?
One is long term and short term, I guess.
Let me give you my definition. A joint venture is the sharing of risk and reward by two or more parties. Ultimately, what that means is you're coming together to profit from property, but you're going to share some risk. So what's the difference if it's a loan? If you borrow money from somebody at a fixed return, for a fixed period of time, that's a loan. So if you took a loan from the bank, £50,000, and it was going to be at 10% interest, at the end of the year you have to pay it back. How much do you have to pay it back at the end of the year? 55,000, right? Now let's say your deal went really well and you made more money than you were anticipating. How much do you have to pay the bank back? 55?
Yeah.
But what if your deal costs more, takes longer, and you lose money on it? How much do they want? 55. Because they're not interested in being part of the risk. That's the difference between a loan and joint venture. One involves sharing risk. People sometimes just think about the upside, sharing profit, but you sharing the downside as well. Does every single property transaction make money? No. Do people screw up sometimes on deals?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they lose money?
Yeah.
Do some people lose an horrendous amount of money in property?
Yeah.
They do. You have to be careful, right? So when you're doing deals, you have to be clear what it is you need, what you're looking for from somebody, and then is it the person you're speaking to, the right type of person? Yeah? So raise your hand if you heard of PS 13.3. A few people. So let me just elaborate a little bit about what this is. So PS 13.3 is an FCA document, which you might want to Google.
And read it well. Understand.
PS 13/3. It's a guidance document that the FCA released, I think it was January 2014, which effectively, what it was saying is that you can't market for investment money. What does that mean, and how does it affect us with property investors? We're not fund managers and stuff. Absolutely.
But you
So-
can't teach the project to somebody who doesn't have a knowledge on investing, because it may be as misleading
Yes.
information. So really, realistically, we shouldn't be doing for joint ventures with somebody who hasn't got that knowledge.
Yes,
Or-
everybody understand that? Let me give a simple version then. Okay, so, I'm kidding, thank you. So, effectively, who's heard of crazy investment schemes, bamboo farms and, fine art and all kinds of stuff where you make gazillion% return on your money? The reality is you never see your money again. That's what happens. So somebody makes a gazillion%, but he ain't going to be you with your money, right? They're scams at the end of the day. A lot of them are just ways that people they lose their money, right? And there's a lot of this has happened over the years. And the FCA, the money police, as I call them, their job is to protect the ordinary people and make sure they're not being screwed over for their money. So every time they sort of regulate an activity, a scheme, or something, some very smart people find a way around it. So their solution to this was, rather than trying to manage every single investment scheme, what we'll do is we'll put a blanket ban across raising investment. So the way it affects us as property investors means really we shouldn't be standing up looking for joint venture. We shouldn't be saying, I've got this deal, I'm looking to share it with somebody as a joint venture partner, come and work with me and we'll do a profit share. We shouldn't really be doing that. Now here's the thing, lots of people do it, a lot of people don't understand this, and as far as I'm aware, although this regulation came in January 2014, nobody as a property investor has been sent to prison because of it yet. But please don't be the first. Right? So all I'm saying is take the time to understand it. Yeah? Whatever you choose to do is entirely up to you, and I'll give you my interpretation of this. So here's what you can do. This particular document references loans as outside the scope. What the FCA are trying to say is most people understand what a loan is. So they can comprehend that. So if you structure something as a loan, it's fine. It's not a problem. So if you're standing up here, you're saying, I've got this deal, I'm looking to borrow £100,000, I'm happy to pay 8% return on that money as an interest. If you're interested, come and have a chat with me. That's okay in my view, because you're asking for a loan, right? But if you're asking to share somebody in risk, you shouldn't be doing that, because then you're now creating something which effectively this document doesn't allow you to do. But here's how you can still do this. So first of all, they talk about sophisticated investors. What's a sophisticated investor?
High net worth.
That's a high net worth.
Someone who's done
So
professional
sophisticated,
investing
so say again?
already. Someone who's done professional investing already.
Someone essentially is a professional investor who makes their money from investing. You know what's Dragon's Den?
Yeah.
Professional investors. They make money by investing in this. So they understand concept of investing. That's how they make their money. How can we become a professional investor?
Investment crowdfunding.
Yeah, you can invest 10 quid in an equity-based crowd investment, not peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer is loan-based, but it's equity-based. If you do that twice, hey, you're a sophisticated investor. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that, but I'm just explaining to you how this works. A high net worth is another category of person that is excluded from this. And a high net worth is somebody that has at least £100,000 a year income or has assets of at least £250,000, excluding their home and pension or life insurance, etc. So those categories of people fall into exclusions of this. But you can't market to everybody and saying this is only for sophisticated investors and high net worth individuals. You can't do that. You have to identify them first and then share the opportunity with them.
But is it friends and family not excluded
Yeah,
as well?
friends and family, I'll come on to that in a moment. So here's the thing. People that are high net worth and sophisticated investors don't walk around with a plaque on their head and say, hey, I'm a sophisticated investor. So how do you identify them, right? It's quite a challenge. It's not that it's not possible, but what I'm saying is these are more difficult things to do. So don't go against the grain. Make your life easy, right? And then, of course, there's friends and family, people you have an existing relationship with. As a lady there just mentioned, they're also excluded from. So people you have a relationship with, you can talk to them about joint venture. It's like if we're going to start a pizza joint across the road and I'm speaking to Tom and say, hey, Tom, we've known each other for a few years, 6, 7, 8 years? Yeah. And, let's maybe do a pizza business and we'll build it up and then we'll franchise it and whatever and we'll take over the world. Because we know each other, we have an established relationship, we can probably have more of an open conversation. This isn't exclusively for property, this is investment generally. You see, but by just understanding this, it means that what you're doing, you're within the law of what you're doing. Yeah? Does this make sense? Yeah. The great news is when you're speaking to somebody and they're saying, I'm interested in investing, you can say, look, due to FCA regulation, we can't really explore joint ventures. Maybe we can work together initially as you investing money as a loan. We can do that for a short period of time, get to know each other a little bit, see how that works, and then we can take it from there. That does two things. The first thing it does is allow you to actually get to know somebody, see what they're like, because they could send you the money and then they want to email every day to know how the investment's doing. They want to come down every Friday for a 2-hour meeting. You don't know. You want to talk about these things before and you want to see what they're like. And if you go on a holiday, they might come across and join you just to make sure that you haven't run off with their money. You see, so you want to get to know people, so it's a great way to be able to just make sure it's the right person to work with before you start talking about joint ventures. The other thing it does, it means that it's easier for you to talk about this type of investment, raise money this way first. Yeah? Now this is a huge topic, I haven't got time to go into the whole detail, but I wanted to just explain this to you when you're raising money to be thinking of. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Good.
Demonstrates your credibility.
Say again, sorry?
It demonstrates your credibility.
Absolutely, it demonstrates you know what you're talking about, because how many people have you spoken to that had looking to raise money have even mentioned PS 13.3 and FCA regulations? Raise your hand if you had somebody do that. 2 people in a room, right? It's rare because you don't understand it. If you demonstrate you do understand it, as Adam just mentioned it demonstrates credibility. Okay.
Can I just
So-
have one more question, sorry?
Well, I'm not sure we're going to have time for more questions. I'll have to charge you extra for that one.
We'll do
Well,
the Q&A.
pay you back later.
How are we
Yeah,
doing for
great.
time? Are we having a break or are we just finishing in 10 minutes?
We'll have a break so that people
Okay.
with a dog with a
And I can breathe?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
that's it. And
Okay.
they can get you a drink as well.
Very good. So we're finishing in about 10 minutes for a break? No?
Yeah.
Yes? No?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So
Your
just
question?
quickly, when you structure your deals and when you're talking to people, because I think I've got more people on JV than the loans, because once they look at the deal, they want 50% instead of 10%.
Yes.
When you structure the deal, if you have in mind first what you're going to do with place of money, are you thinking, whatever comes first, I will do that? Because it's a different conversation. I know we can get that when
Yes.
you're initially talking with somebody, what they're interested in. But once they look at the documents I prepared, they're like, oh, I will join venture with you because there is a profit to share, so they
Yeah.
want the future. That.
So does everybody follow? Okay, so essentially what we're saying is, when you've got a great deal, you're speaking to somebody and they can see you've got an amazing deal. They no longer want to lend you the money, they want a piece of the pie. I'm interested in being a joint venture partner in this deal, I'm not just going to lend you the money. So let me share something with you. So, when you've got an amazing deal, and you're looking to raise money, or you're the person that's got money, looking to invest it, who has the power in that relationship, do you think? The person with the deal or person with the money? No. Let me give my experience. The person with the deal has the power. there is no shortage of money. There is plenty of money out there. If you have a good deal, you will not struggle to find the money. In fact, if people know what you do, they'll find you. Our perception is that the person with the money has the power because they can enable or disable this deal from happening. Right? That's not true. That's your belief. So what happens is, or what should happen, you need to take ownership of that. Actually, you're in control. Yeah, great, I know you'd love to do a joint venture on me, but this particular deal, the only way we'd be able to do this, for us to maybe see if we can work together, this would be on a loan basis, and then I might open up to a potential joint venture with you on the next deal. Who has the power now? Do you see? Because what you're doing, you're saying, you might have a load of money, but I don't need that money because you haven't got a load of these deals. That's fine, doesn't work, we'll have a chat over here. See? Does it work? No problem, we'll have a chat here. Because if you've got a good deal, just like when I offered you an opportunity to double your money, you will have no difficulty in finding people to invest with you. So if you have the deal, you have the power, not the person with the money. And this is a psychological thing, but we believe that actually we're going with a begging bowl. Please, can you give me some money? No, you're giving people an opportunity to make money. How much are they getting on their 50 grand in the bank right now as a percentage? Yeah, 0.0 something silly, right?
Yeah.
And when you work out inflation, how much is that? They're losing money. They've got a problem with the money sitting in the bank. You think you have a problem, you don't have the money. They have a bigger problem because they're losing money on their money. You have to demonstrate how you can help them make money, how you can share an opportunity with them. You see, a lot of this is about how you position this. Right at the beginning I was talking about the beliefs that you have in yourself. If you don't believe this, you are absolutely not going to be able to get any money on this. As Henry Ford, I think he says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are absolutely right. It's your choice. You choose which way you're going to believe this. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we find the money? Where's the money? Raise your hand who's got the money. I'm kidding. Where's the money? Money is everywhere. There is no shortage of money. What there is a shortage of is you being out there and being visible that you find money. So raise your hand if you'd come across my name before today. A few people. Keep your hand up if you had any association with other people's money. Right. So most of the people that have got their hand up that already knew of me had my name associated with other people's money and using property joint ventures, for example. Let me let you into a little secret. Nobody turned up at my house, knocked on the door and says, Mr. Hussain, we are now going to announce you as the official UK property joint venture expert. Here's your certificate and here's your crown. It didn't happen. Oh, right, of course. It didn't happen. You have to claim that expertise. Now, you have to be capable and good at what you're doing. But nobody is going to give you positioning. You have to claim it. So if you're the best person to do single legs in rugby, you have to claim that space. If you're the person that does amazing deals with people, for example, social housing, you need to claim that space. You need to tell people that's what you do. You're the person that does this thing. You're the person that understands this subject. You're the person that's an authority on this because you have the knowledge. Raise your hand if you're good at what you do. Everybody should have their hand up because we're all, and Nanny, keeping you. Everybody should have their hand up because we're all good at something, right? If you're not good at it, you shouldn't be here. We are all good at what we do. What we're crap at doing is admitting we're good at it and telling other people we're good at it, right? Because if you think about it, as kids, we weren't really nurtured in that way to stand out. It was about fitting in. That's just how society is. But it feels really uncomfortable when I'm saying, you've got to stand out. You've got to share what you do. Now, you may not believe this. I was exceptionally scared about standing in front of people and speaking. Now, over time, I've become confident because I've realised how much of a difference it's made to my business. So all these skills are learned. You are not going to be a master from day one. But you've got to get over the fact that people are going to care about how your hair looks and you haven't got your makeup done and you're not wearing the right colour shirt. People don't care. People are interested in you as a person. The more real you are, the more genuine you are, the better it is. Now here's the thing. If you meet somebody at an event They say, oh, I feel like I know you, I've seen you online, but you look nothing like your photograph. That is not a good sign. That means too much makeup. You have to be the person that people expect to meet. You should not be different in real life to how they think you are. Because remember, you are giving them an opportunity to get to know and like and trust the real you. Not the fake Instagram filtered version of you. The real you. Yeah? And you know what I mean? You know, there's lots of amazing international towards the East gurus that talk about, this and hide Lamborghinis and everything, all this nonsense. You've got to be the real you. Yeah? If cars are important for you, that's fine. You'll attract people like that. Whatever your values are, you'll attract those kind of people. And they're the people you want to do business with. Because you'll resonate much more with them than you with people who are interested just to do transactional business with you. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Excellent. Should we take a break?
Yeah.
Yeah? Excellent. So, we'll then carry on with these others and hopefully get them finished. I'm doing a lease option. And I'm borrowing £50,000 to do whatever is happening with that property. And we have the conversation around security, and they say, I'd like first charge. Can I offer them first charge?
No.
Can I offer them second charge? Well, first of all, it's not even my property.
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah.
So you have to think about how can you provide that for them. Yeah? So let's say I'm going to purchase a property to renovate and sell. Now, I want to borrow, let's say it's a £100,000 property, and I want to borrow £100,000 from somebody to do that particular deal. So, one option is I could go and get bridging, and then I need maybe £25,000-30,000, right? Plus I need some renovation money. So they say, I would like first charge on that. If I'm lending you, say, £50,000 to cover your monies that you need to do the purchase plus the renovation, I'd like first charge. Can you offer them first charge? No, because the bridger will have taken first charge. So how do you address that? Well, it's quite simple. Say, we absolutely can do first charge. And for you to do first charge, all you need to do is fund the purchase and fund the renovation. Is that something you're able to do? You see? You're not saying no. And if it's yes, that's great. And then you analyse the terms. You work out the terms. If the answer is, well, I wasn't thinking of investing that much, we say that's okay, because the alternative is we can borrow some money from a commercial lender, like a bridger, and that means there's less money coming in. But they take first charge on that. So what would work for you? You see? So the question of security is a very important one. The mistake we make is we tell people what we're offering rather than understanding what they want and what they need, and then thinking about, can we deliver that? And sometimes people have unrealistic expectations, right? They talk about, no problem, I'll lend you that £100,000, Bill, no problem at all. All I want is first charge and second charge on your home and your firstborn. That's the easy one, right?
Universities cost a bloody fortune.
But they're unrealistic in their expectations, yeah? Now, there's a couple of ways you can deal with that when you get somebody who's quite unrealistic. The best way to do it, you joke it off. So how do you do that? Say, that's fantastic. When's the last time you done one of those deals? Yeah? And if they generally answer, say, I can do this, that, and the other, I've got this opportunity to do this, that's fantastic. Maybe I should invest with you. See? So what you do, and the other way you can do that is, let's say somebody says, I want 20% return on my money to work with you. Say, fantastic. So, and what risk are you prepared to take for that 20%? Oh, I'm not looking to take any risk. Oh, okay. So, where's the money right now? Oh, it's in the bank. And what risk have you got on that? I haven't got any risk on that. It's safe. And what are they rewarding you for that money? Oh, 0.0.0.0 something or another, right? Oh, okay. So now you want 20%, but you want to keep the same risk. We might struggle to make that work. See, what you're doing, you're contrasting it. You're showing that it's a complete opposite what they're trying to ask for. See, you're not doing it in a confrontational way, but what you're doing is you're trying to really make them think, well, actually, there's a disconnect here. This doesn't quite work. You see, because often you'll meet people who've got unrealistic expectations. Now, the reality is, what's the most we can make as a percentage return on our money in property? It's infinite, right?
Yeah.
But if you talk to somebody who's new to property and say, well, I'm making infinite return on my money, would you like to invest? They'll be thinking, hang on a minute, how does that work? Is it a complete scam, right? Because it's way, way beyond their comprehension. So even when you talk about 20%, 50%, for most people this blows their mind. Which is why you should also not offer a rate. You should ask questions about what expectations do you have on investing? What is it you're looking to try and achieve? Okay, what risk are you prepared to take for that? You see how through conversation you can allow them to tell you what they want and for you to work out whether you can deliver that. If you can, you'll say, great, if we're able to do that, maybe we can work together. And if it's not, if you at the end of that think, you know what, this is definitely not for me, you say, great, look, thank you so much. I haven't got anything right now that will deliver that. Would it be okay, maybe we stay in touch if something else comes along and I can come back to you? Yeah? Fantastic. You leave it there, and then what you do, you message them every month or 2 months. Say, how are you getting on? Have you got that 25% return yet? Oh, you haven't. Oh, okay. Now, if they do contact you in a month and say, yeah, I've invested the money somewhere where I'm going to get 75% return on my money, I'm doing really well, give them another year, get back in touch with them, they've probably lost all the money. So, I'm kidding. So, what I'm saying, you still stay in touch, because sometimes people need time to shift from unrealistic to realistic. And you don't push, you don't pressurize, you're just there in the background. I call it occupying mind space. And this is how you can use social media as well to occupy mind space. So I asked for everybody's email address. Not everybody would have sent their email address. But what am I doing? I'm rewarding you by asking for your email address by sending you something you'll find useful, right? And then I'll send emails out about what I'm doing. But what am I doing? I'm getting people to allow them to get to know me, like me, trust me. Some of that will turn into business. You see? Exactly the same thing I'm suggesting. Does this make sense? Does this answer your question here in terms of security? So sometimes people are surprised when I answer that question in that way. They think, oh, he's going to say do this and do that. There's many, many different ways of doing it, but the way we shouldn't do it is tell people. We should ask what they need and what they want, and then see if we can deliver it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Exit. Whose one was that? You've probably all done it. I think we're talking about exits early. Ultimately, it's about having more than one exit. So sometimes, when we're borrowing money for a deal, let's say it's HMOs is a great example. It's unfortunate Nick's gone. I would have asked him a question around this. So let's say you're borrowing money to do a HMO. Who's heard you can do a HMO up, get a commercial remortgage and you get all your money out? Yeah. Right? It's the holy grail, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to borrow some money from an investor. I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to then turn it into a 6-bedroom HMO. I'm going to remortgage it. They're going to give me some extortionate percentage value on it, and then I'm going to pay the investor back and job done. So you say, so how many of those have you done? Oh, it's my first one, but I've been on a course, right? But here's the thing. I'm not saying it's not possible. If you haven't got the experience and you haven't done these things and you don't understand the intricacies, the chances of it happening is slim. Now, I do a lot of HMOs. I don't get all my money out of the deals. Sometimes we do, most of the time we don't. See, so I'm being realistic about what we can and can't do. So when we talk about exits, we've got to look at how we're going to return somebody's money. And I talked about it earlier on. You might be bless you. You might be investing. Somebody might be investing money with you, but you ultimately need to pay that back. How are you going to do that? What if you don't get that remortgage? What if you're going to flip it and the market shifted slightly and it's slower and you don't get that return? How are you going to repay that money? You have to enter the transaction knowing multiple different exits exist. One exit is not the answer. That's exceptionally dangerous. You have to have other exits. Like, so for example, Peter, we were talking earlier on about your deal, and he said, I can remortgage and keep it. Now, if the numbers work, that's great. So I'm building some luxury houses at the moment in Addiston, not a million miles actually away, and they're about £500,000 each, 5-bedroom houses, double garages. Now, doing a buy to let on them if we don't sell them is not an option. You see, so I can't say we don't sell them, we'll just remortgage them. It's fine. It ain't fine because it ain't going to work. You see, so you have to have an alternative exit. Now I'm prepared to take quite a hit on those and sell them for a lot less than what they are if it comes to that as a backup. So my backup would be I'm prepared to walk away with no money as long as I get my investors' money back. Now that's not what I want to do, but what I'm saying, that's the backup. So you have to think about what's the backup that you can use? What's the alternative exits that you can have in place? Yeah. Now sometimes it might be you've got the property up and running as a HMO, now it's producing a really good income, but you've got £40,000 of somebody else's money still stuck in there because the remortgage didn't release enough money. But now because you've got a healthy return coming in there, what it does, it opens up the opportunity to a different type of investor. That different type of investor would be somebody looking to invest for the long term for the return on money. So you have short-term investors and long-term investors, as I call it. Your short-term investors will probably be less than a year. They'll put money in, they'll recycle it back out. Long-term investors are people that want to build something up for the long term. Now, some of my investors work in IT, medical profession. Mostly they're high earners, but they're time poor. What that does is perfect for me because they don't need cash flow right now. If they're already earning 100, 120 grand a year, another £500 a month is not going to change their life. They're not really interested now. What they want to do is build assets. They want to build something for the future to make their future easier. See, so then that opens up the opportunity to structure the deals in a slightly different way. That means I can front load the cash flow towards me, and I can front load the equity towards them. See, it opens up more possibilities. It doesn't have to be 50-50. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're trying to exit out the first investor's funds and you haven't got enough to be able to remortgage and pay them out, you can introduce somebody else's funds in to get the first investor's funds out, but bring them in as a long term. Not for another 6 months or a year, because all you've done is kick the can down the road otherwise. You're going to have the same problem again in 6 months or 12 months' time. You have to find a long-term solution. And the long-term solution is a long-term investor that, for example, would be happy to put 40 grand in, get 8, 9, 10%, whatever it is, return on their money, and possibly even X percentage on the equity. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's thinking outside the box and being creative about how you're going to pay that money back. How are we doing for time?
Well, whenever you're ready, and the audience will continue to network in the bar. I think
okay.
You might have a drink, but I think you're open that now.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think the service station will be open on the way back. So we've done all the questions, I think. So if anybody else got anything else, I'm happy to do one more question, and then we can take a break, or we can wrap up, and I'll kind of hang around for a little while if anyone's got any kind of personal questions. We good?
Yep.
Excellent. So have you enjoyed that?
Yeah.
You found that useful?
Yeah.
Have you been inspired?
Yeah.
Then my work here is done. Thank you very much. Thank you.